coming up next.
Well, we've had 6 fantastic races already today, starting with our novice, moving into our mixed para competition, then on to our junior, our senior girls, and now we are into our ultimate race of the day, the senior boys competition. Set to be another set of fantastic performances back to back here. We've got a couple of returning champions from last year. And at Mooney's Bay, the rain continues to fall. It's warmed up a little bit. Anytime you get over 10 degrees at a Canadian cross-country championship, you have to be pretty happy. There's been no snow, no sleet, a little bit of rain never hurt anyone. But again, it's true cross-country, and these athletes have been pretty fortunate to have sloppy but not cold conditions. As always, team competitions on the line. And again, for this senior category, this is the last time these athletes are going to be able to compete in the cross-country division for their team at high school. Many of these runners moving on either to the NCAA or to the Canadian university system. We still have those Athletics Ontario Championships in 2 weeks, the ACXC Championships in 1 month's time. Those are going to be over November 30th and December 1st. You can catch all of that action right here on ACTV, courtesy of runnerspace. Again, you'll see several of these athletes coming back to test their mettle against the best at that national competition. Nice little high five there from the Gator driver and one of our athletes. And you know, Adam, I think this is a good opportunity just to shout out before we enter our final race and then do our wrap up, just to shout out all of the volunteers, the officials, the medical staff, the coaches, everyone who is making this event happen year on year, our convener, everyone on site here in Ottawa, ensuring that we have a strong competition, a safe competition, and above all else, a fun competition.
Some of the teams to keep an eye on in this senior boys race. The Neil McNeil team out of Toronto. They were the Toronto District Catholic Region champions this year, scoring an impressive 13 points to win that title. Their team was also the junior champion back in 2023. Louis Riel Public School out of Ottawa. They were the winners of the National Capital Region meet. They scored 29 points to take that title. Brody Clark, he was the junior champion a year ago. He's coming off a GHAC championship that he won at a time of 18:33.50. William Scharf from Riverdale Collegiate in Toronto. He was second in the junior race last year. And Kenneth Champ, another athlete looking to make an impact here. He's from St. Peter's in Barrie. He was 7th in the junior race a year ago. He was the Georgian Bay Secondary Schools Association champion this year. As we get a look at all the athletes on the line now, this senior boys final scheduled to have 301 athletes competing.
Well, you said his name already. All eyes should be on the guy with the best name in the field, Kenny Champ. He was back-to-back champs, or I should say double champ, at the OFSAA track and field championships in the 1500 meter and the 3000 earlier this season, and we're underway. He is set to lead this field, like you said, over 300 strong. What a way to close out our last race of the 2024 OFSAA Cross Country Championships here in Ottawa.
Just a mass of humanity, and they're going to have to all find a place soon because, as we've mentioned, you get to that hill pretty quickly, and it's not a very wide route up that hill.
Well, again, this is, as we've been kind of alluding to all day, Adam, this is the ultimate race where you have the most chewed up, eaten up, bent into course. And you can already see that it's not just the runner's legs, but of course the tire tracks of our gator. We appreciate our leading gator for the camera work and all the safety work that they're doing. But that means that you are contending with really, really difficult footing, in addition to the biggest field of the day. You can hear competitors shout, or supporters, I should say, shouting for Kenny Champ. Adam, you and I had a chance to meet Kenny's family actually this summer at the Canadian Track and Field Championships and Olympic Trials. They had some very nice words for us, and also in support of their son. So we know that they're probably on site. But look at that, to your point, slipping and sliding. This is almost like you have to have ski poles to stay on your feet.
The arms go out trying to reestablish some balance, and that's just what you get when you have the final race of the day. That course has been worked over pretty good. An early move being made.
Well, Adam, we talked about how deep this field is, and I think that establishing yourself at the front of the pack early on is a smart move. You don't want to expend too much energy up front, but again, there's a lot of guys chasing these leaders right now. So powerful, strong, fast moves being made up front. Not surprising to see that, but it's also a long race, and you have guys who, as we've seen through the races all day, have some patience, can bide their time, you know, just stalk and plan and come up with a tactic that'll help them get to the front at the end, which of course is all that matters. 6K, not that long. Long enough though, especially for some of these runners who are, you know, pretty pure 1500 meter specialists coming into a 6K race. They're going to have to be careful about their tactics. It's like a wall of runners behind our leader right now, Adam.
Look at the athletic course tracker. On the lower left side of the screen. Some firmer ground now for the athletes. No real muddy portions in this section, but they better not get used to that because they will be dealing with mud and sand coming up and getting close to the sand now as they'll move on to the beach for the first time.
So that is Daniel Kova in the lead right now out of Louis Riel, bib 1977. And Kova, a very strong runner in his own right, did not crack the top 20 last year as a junior, but clearly full of confidence and looking to really assert himself at the front of this pack early on.
Kova finished second at the National Capital Regional Meet. Saul Taylor won that one. Kova got the different colored shoes. I think that's a design choice. I don't think he's just been stepping in too much mud with one of them.
I don't think so. And we should mention, you know, the interesting thing about the senior category is, of course, you have athletes returning as second-year seniors and some of them stepping up from the junior category. So Kova did, in fact, finish very well last year as a senior. He was 13th at the OFSAA Cross Country Championships in that senior category. A year older, a year more developed, and a year more inspired to try to take top marks here at the 2024 OFSAA Cross Country Championships.
When they get over that little trench that has really gotten muddy throughout the day here, it's a little easier for the athletes. They can just leap over it. It's not as easy for our poor crew in the lead gator. They can't just jump over it. But they are through it, and the athletes now to one of the hills. Kova around the corner with ease, and he is being chased by a rather large contingent of athletes, but he has established a secure lead as it stands right now. And Kate, if I'm not mistaken, I believe earlier on there was a pylon at that corner, and I think it may have taken some of the athletes earlier on by surprise having it there. It's gone now, which makes things easier coming around that corner.
Absolutely, and again, this is the one of the biggest contingents of the day. So I'm not surprised, especially given how eaten up the course is and how slippery and sloppy things are, that perhaps the officials have just made a decision to prioritize safety here. And this is a really dominant lead up front by Kova. He is throwing down, and he's got, this is the interesting thing, Adam, is the chasers behind him are working in tandem. They're working as a group. There is a lot of energy in that group. You see Kova there looking back over his shoulder. He knows that the danger is not that far behind. He also knows that those guys are probably working together, saying to themselves and perhaps to each other, if we can just keep this pace going, we can close the gap on him. He's having to do some sort of gymnastics there to stay on his feet. This is where you don't necessarily need to run the shortest tangent. Don't stay close to the rail if it means that you're going to sacrifice the footing underneath. He's going to come around through the end of this first lap. He's going to have a big uphill yet to go. He knows again that the guys behind him are working together to narrow that distance. He just needs to run safe and strong and expend as little mental energy as possible to get himself safely through this first lap.
Getting a look at the athletic elevation tracker right now. Bit of a downhill here for Kova. And then you can see coming up that big uphill. That will be on the second lap. They do 2 laps of this course. And after that big uphill, there's more of a gentle uphill, but it comes pretty quickly after you come back down the initial hill. And Kova is through the first 3 kilometers in a time of 9:36.7. And he has got himself around a 7-second lead over the chase pack. That chase pack is being led by Matthew Kometz from St. Michael's College in Toronto. 9:36.8 for Kometz through the 3K split. Also in that chase pack, Brendan Curry, Graham Tamori, Kenny Champ, Saul Taylor, And it was Taylor who beat Kova at the regional meet. Brody Clark also in the mix, as well as Michael Schmaltz and Jackson Whittam.
Well, Adam, as we did with the senior girls race, we're seeing many familiar names here in the senior boys. As we mentioned, Kova in the top 20 last year as a senior. You got lots of juniors moving up for the first time as seniors, including our athlete currently sitting in 5th, Kenny Champ. Champ was 7th as a junior in the cross-country race last year, and as we've already said, a double OFSAA track champion in the 15 and the 3,000. But Kova absolutely on top of this race, down this hill. That's where you want to, again, make sure that you stay on your feet, but use the momentum of the downhill. Let gravity help you. And every chance you get to just put an extra second, an extra couple stride lengths on your competition, especially in this second lap. This is where he's got to commit. He's already in the lead. He can't pull back now and wait for the competition to catch up, to have some company, some, shared momentum. He's just got to keep the foot on the gas all the way to the finish. It's a lonely place to be. It's a bold place to be. And I applaud how strong he is contending this hopeful win at the front of this race.
Kova's strategy right now is reminiscent of the races we saw early in the day, where a healthy lead was established early on, and in some cases, in majority of the cases, it was hung on to, but we did see in the para race a substantial lead that was established early on disappear, and obviously Kova is hoping that he will be one of the competitors who doesn't surrender the lead.
Well, like I said, this can be a really lonely place to be. It can also be an exciting place to be. And I think that at this point, these athletes, in the case of Kova, he's got lots of experience under his belt, a grade 12 athlete. He knows himself as a runner really well. He would have been coached incredibly well to this point. And he's saying to himself, this is the way I think I can run this race. I, for instance, was a sit and kick athlete. That was always the tactic I employed. I like to sit with the momentum of the pack. I had a really difficult time doing what we're seeing our leader doing right now, which was commit to the lead and just go with it. So again, kudos to him for doing this, but he'll have, spoken at length with his support system about what the right way to execute this race is, and is clearly on a mission to make sure that that comes to fruition. That graphic on the left of screen showing you your leaders, showing you your team scores as they stand right now, obscuring a little bit the view behind. But Adam, we can confirm that the second place runner right now is not even in picture. So as he enters the beach here and has to deal with that difficult footing, again, thank you to the officials and volunteers for putting up those stakes, making sure that the course is clearly delineated. He'll have that energy taken out of his body, but he has to remember that everyone behind him is going to have that same energy taken out, and they don't have the benefit of the motivation of being the leader at this point in the OFSAA Senior Boys Championship.
Still a little more uphill to come for Kova, as we see some of the athletes now into their second lap, going up that big hill for the second time. Kova onto the beach for the final time. As you mentioned, Kate, the rain beneficial for this portion of the course. Hardens that sand a little bit so you don't sink into it as much. rounding the edge of the park now. Some muddy conditions around that corner, though. They don't give him any issues. And there's that little trench. You can just see it there. It's, well, just an area that these athletes will be good to avoid. And again, it's not a very wide trench, but it is quite muddy. They're able to just leap over it. This is that corner coming up that I was talking about that had the pylon there initially. Or rather, this was not the corner I was talking about, but still, it's a tough corner to come around.
It is for sure, but you know what is going to serve Kova very well is his prowess on the steeplechase side of things. He was the bronze medalist in the steeplechase in the open men's 2,000 meter steeplechase at the OFSAA Track and Field Championships earlier this year. And, you know, we haven't had many opportunities to talk about this over today's broadcast, but those cross-country competitors are extraordinary on the steeplechase course and vice versa. So being able to stay on your feet, being able to tackle obstacles, hurdles, both sort of figurative and literal, really is going to be to the benefit of an athlete like Kova. So coming off of that steeplechase bronze from the spring and using that to propel him towards this finish line. And now, Adam, you do see those other competitors entering the picture. They've significantly closed that gap. It's still a big one. And of course, we're nearing the end. I think they've run out of time, but they've done a good job of working together to try to get themselves as close to Daniel Kova as possible.
At the 3K mark, Kova had a 7-second lead over the rest of the field. It looked like he had even improved upon that earlier in this lap. I didn't see any competitors in the screen for a while. We do see them creeping back in. Not on this shot, though, as he rounds the corner. But as you said, Kate, it might be too little too late for anyone to make a serious bid to knock Kova out of first place. Kova finished second. The National Capital Regional. Saul Taylor took the win there. Beat Kova by about 18 seconds. Taylor was in that chase pack. He was fifth at the 3,000 meter, tied for fifth at the 3,000 meter mark. But today in Ottawa, it is all Daniel Kova as he's looking for the OFSAA championship here. He takes a look over his shoulder. No one in striking distance now. 19 minutes to the 6K mark. There is a bit of a push coming from behind, but he's got a 5-second advantage at the 6K mark, so not much track or course left to go. So the battle is on for second right now. Komet's still holding down second. Tamori in third, but this is the leader, Kova. Komet's trying anything he can to make a late charge, but he's going to run out of room. It's going to be Daniel Kova taking the victory here. And the OFSAA championship in the senior boys race. Komet's crosses for the silver. And it is going to be Tamori across for the bronze. Kenny Champ will cross in fourth place. Van Clarkson fifth. Brody Clark sixth. Michael Schmaltz in seventh. Jackson Whittam eighth. Landon Roy Jack Gregory will finish 7th, Michael Schmaltz 8th, Jackson Whittam 9th, and Landon Reuter will round out the top 10.
Well, again, Adam, a number of very familiar names sitting in that top 10. This is tremendous depth on the senior men's 6K course here in Ottawa for the OFSAA Championships. But Daniel Kova, what an improvement. 13th last year, takes the gold this year. And you saw what that meant to him when he crossed the line. He just looked so focused throughout the race, but then almost in disbelief as he was able to celebrate on this side, on the good side of that finish line. And of course, athletes will continue streaming across, contesting personal bests, contesting team titles, improvements perhaps on their performances last year as juniors and seniors. But I just want to reiterate how challenging it is just to get to these OFSAA championships. So kudos, well done to every single one of these runners across all of our 7 divisions, because what an extraordinary celebration.
Kova's Louis Riel team was one of our teams to watch coming in to this senior boys final. Still waiting on the results to begin tabulating for the points when it comes to the team race. Brooklyn has 4 athletes across the line. Orangeville and Neil McNeil have 3 athletes across. See Kova's Louis Riel now with 2 athletes across. So right now, Brooklyn at 97 points. Wait and see, though, just how that holds up. Of course, when you have these mass start events, need some mass finishes. So they have to go through, just make sure they've got the placements for everyone right. Orangeville now in 2nd place, 209. So Brooklyn looks like a pretty safe bet to take this title, unless there are some big changes they need to make on the scoring. And Louis Riel right now in 3rd with 223 points. Daniel Kova, of course, leading the way for them as he won this race. Brooklyn's top finisher, Aiden Claude, just finished outside the top 10. He was 11th, through in a time of 20:03.5. We also had the 14th place finisher, Nolan Bowie. He was through in 20:18.1. The team scores in the senior boys final. Brooklyn takes it 98 points, leading the way for them. Aiden Claude, 11th place finish. Nolan Bowie, 14th. Luke Ford, 28th. And Griffin Bratton, 45th.
Tremendous performance by this quartet. Last year in the senior boys division, they were 8th overall with 371 points. So what an improvement for this group.
In second place, Orangeville. Leading the way for them, Logan Wilcott. He finished 15th. Craig Stevenson, 50th. Thomas Bukaboom, 52nd. And Ruben McLeod, 95th.
And another really nice step up in performance for this team as well. Last year here, they were 7th overall, 6th, I should say, with 336 points as seniors. Again, bodes well for what we're going to see next year, Adam.
And in third place, Louis Riel, led, of course, by the winner, Daniel Kova. Mikhail Fortier finishing 37th. Evan James Rebane, 85th. And Cohen K, 100th.
Well, we did not see Louis Riel in the top 10 on the junior or the senior side of the boys teams last year. They've got to feel really good about taking home a podium finish here at the 2024 OFSAA Championships. What a day it's been, Adam. Sprints off the start, powering up the hills, striding across the beach and through the forest, truly over hill and dale. It was an honest cross-country race from start to finish in terms of every single one of these competitors. We saw a lot of new winners for the first time at the cross-country championships. It's been an incredible day of competition here in Ottawa. I cannot wait for the next 4 weeks leading into the ACXC champs, and then of course onto our 2025 track and field OFSAA competition as well.
Daniel Kova, the winner in the senior boys race. Matthew Kometz, the silver medalist, and Graham Tamori, the bronze. And for many of these athletes, it will conclude their high school cross-country careers. But Kate, as you alluded to, perhaps not the end of their seasons, as there's still much to come this month.
Absolutely. I remember what a special time that was to be an OFSAA athlete. Such a special time to be a Canadian athlete. Finish on empty, indeed. We saw that across the board today, Adam. We are finishing on empty as well. It's been an absolute pleasure.
One event left on the calendar for us here on athleticscanada.tv in 2020.